were quickly noticed, and in 1918, Baker joined vaudeville, working her way to New York City. The vaudeville circuit was highly organized, highly competitive, where young performers were treated as so much grist for the mill of economic exploitation. Baker managed not only to survive, but to advance in this very rough environment. Her unique musical advantage was that during her formative years in Kansas and Chicago, she was directly exposed to and had become familiar with developments in ragtime, the blues, and early jazz, new musics that was sweeping the world. The dichotomy between the petite, white, young, red-headed beauty and her low-down, ethnically charged renditions must have been bewitching to mainstream audiences. After arriving in New York City, Baker was immediately engaged in 1919 to make piano rolls. Here's a picture of her depicted in it's a publication that describes her work with the piano roll company, and also she composed as well, and this is what she looked like, of course. Hat is great. Okay. The piece is called Dreaming Blues. However, Baker's main activity during the 20s was as a live performer in vaudeville, stage reviews, and solo performances. Her unique incorporation of the blues, ragtime, novelty piano, and early jazz elements into her virtuosic piano stylizations, her singing, dancing, and acting, and finally, her beauty and rag to riches story proved a press agent's dream. Like many other U.S. performers in 1927, Baker sailed to England and joined London's active and prestigious vaudeville revue musical scene. Her talent, beauty, and presentation propelled her into royal social circles that emphasized American entertainers surrounding the soon-to-be and later abdicated King Edward. It was there that she came into contact with the son of a wealthy banker, Gerald Derlanger, whom she married. He was later Baron Derlanger. Here is a 1928 newspaper article that appeared in the New Britain, Connecticut Herald that was likely syndicated throughout the USA, and that's what I gave to you. I know you can't read it, it's very tiny type, but nevertheless, that really, just looking at it, you can see what it's all about. Okay, it portrays a shrewd, soft-eyed Edythe Baker strategically navigating an upwardly mobile social and financial trajectory. The narrator quoted in the article was not Baker, but her theatrical agent, Walter Kingsley. Kingsley is described in his 1929 New York Times obituary as one of the best known and most popular press representatives in the theater. His friends recall his willingness to aid newcomers and young people who are trying to make their name on Broadway. The article outlines Kingsley's framework of rules for deportment, appearance, and contacts that would guarantee fame and fortune for Baker specifically. To quote Kingsley, by following his template, Baker's, quote, struggles for social recognition ended triumphantly in her marriage to a member of the minor British aristocracy. Whether we accept Kingsley's portrayal as accurate, it would not be surprising that a brilliant, determined young woman who began at the low end of the social hierarchy would have sought a mentor such as Kingsley for guidance. Kingsley was also at great pains to specify that Baker did not fall into the commonly held stereotype of women in the entertainment industry who are often portrayed as disreputable and inappropriately sexually active. Baker publicly renounced her stage career upon her marriage in 1928, which will be the next. Okay, there you go. This is in the New York Times. Sealing, as it would seem, her entry into a pinnacle elite social class. The marriage lasted 6 years. While continuing to be seen in British media in the company of royalty, certain suspect people, from the class that favored the Nazis, as we know, some of them. Lord Beaverbrook was one of her favorites. And often on the best dressed list. By the late 1930s, Baker had been left behind as an active performer. After World War II, she returned to the US, vanishing into complete obscurity. What justifies current interest in Baker is preserved in her 72 piano rolls, many of them blues arrangements that she made from 1919 to 1926, and her Columbia and British Decca 78 RPM phonograph recordings from 27 to 33. Only 3 of her original compositions, to my knowledge, have survived. Let's hear how Baker uniquely reinterprets Ida Cox's blues Lottie Lottie. First, we'll hear Cox's own performance, followed by Baker's 1924 rendition on a piano roll. Her piano roll performance is likely captured from her hand playing. Let's go, hopefully, next.
Tell me, pretty daddy, what's the matter now? Tell me, pretty daddy, what's the matter now? Are you trying to quit me and you don't know how? I'd rather be dead, buried in the sea. I'd rather be dead, buried in the sea, and have the man I love say he don't want me. Lord, 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 Lord. Lord, Lord, Lordy, Lordy, Lord. Oh, the man I love treats me
During the 20s, Baker's roles began to feature arrangements of some more iconic American songbook songs that were efflorescing during the period. Her Manhattan song roll arrangement you'll hear. The tune is by the American songwriter Richard Rodgers, shows how Baker absorbed or had become absorbed into the orchestral roll arranging style often applied to song rolls. They had the words on the right-hand side. I think you'll see it in this, or maybe I tucked the words in over. While attributed to Baker, much of her Manhattan roll contains additional notes beyond her playable 10 fingers. She likely provided the breaks and riffs and the brief interlude heard before the final chorus. The idea. All right, so it's a totally different stuff. I want to conclude with one last selection. That's the Dubarry, her 1933 78 RPM recording based on tunes taken from a German originated opera particularly favored in the UK once she had been married. She made these recordings, and it's still a mystery how that happened. I think she had, yes, 3 minutes. Okay, in this recording, Baker demonstrates a virtuoso command of the piano with her piano rolls, which cannot fully depict words away from her blues and jazz origins. Baker's performance is infused with a harmonic vocabulary, temporal plasticity, and total color of European classical music. collections are up on YouTube, and you can access them there. So in conclusion, we're left to wonder what happened there. And I have some hypotheses, can't share it with you today, but I think she was imbued so strongly with this fantasy world that once her marriage collapsed, and she no longer had the beauty of her youth, there was really no way forward for her. That's really what happened. And can you imagine giving up your career for your marriage? I mean, a man would never do that, but a woman would. And so sad. Thank you.